Welcome back to Spring into Math 7. I'm Mrs. Campbell, and today we're going to be doing the second part of our lesson on how to find the surface area of a prism. Let's go. So let's talk about rectangular prisms. So with rectangular prisms, we can actually use a formula to represent the faces as we find their area. Let's look again at our calculations for the rectangular prism that we dealt with a few lessons ago in the last lesson. Okay, so we had the bottom face was area equals length times width. Let's see if you can pick up on this pattern. If you need to pause your video to see it, I'm sure it'll jump right off the page at you. Okay, so area equals length times width, or 12 times 7 equals 84. Top face, area equals length times width, 12 times 7 equals 84. Do you see the pattern? You're probably seeing it already. The two long sides are the same measurements, 12 times 3 plus 12 times 3, 36 plus 36. And then the two short sides are the same as well, 7 times 3 for both sides being 21. So let's read the note at the bottom. Now for those of you who are word smart, this will help. Notice that our calculations are repeating in pairs. Did you pick up on it? So that's because every face in a rectangular prism is opposite a face that is congruent. So in other words, the top and the bottom faces have the same measurements. The two long side faces have the same measurements, and the two short side faces have the same measurements. So therefore, we can create a formula for surface area that gives us a shortcut. Always a fun thing in math. All right, let's look at how we would do this. So we simply double each calculation to represent a pair of faces. So our formula is going to look like this. The surface area equals 2 times length times width plus 2 times length times width plus 2 times height times width. So those are the three patterns that we're seeing. All right, keeping in mind our formula. In this rectangular prism, the length is 12 inches and the width is 7 inches, and the height is 3 inches. Let's try this one. We simply put these numbers into the formula and solve for the surface area. So we'll write our formula down. Surface area equals 2 length times width plus 2 times length times width plus 2 times height times width. Okay, now we're just going to plug our numbers in. So it's going to be 2 times 12 times 7 plus 2 times 12 times 3 plus 2 times 3 times 7. Using the order of operations, we're going to go in our parentheses first, solve in our parentheses first. So we get 2 times 84 plus 2 times 36 plus 2 times 21. And we get surface area equals 168 plus 72 plus 42. The surface area is going to equal 282 inches squared. All right, triangular prisms have a different formula for finding surface area because they have two triangular faces opposite of each other, as you can see in this sort of like tent-like figure. We know we need to find the area of two triangular faces, so we are going to use 1/2 base times height. And remember, we can use a formula to calculate the area of a pair of faces. We can double the formula to find the area of both faces at once, and that's going to give us 2 times 1/2 base times height, because we have a triangle on both sides. We've got one over here and then one in the back that you can't see. So we're going to need to do it twice. Well, here's the kind of cool part. 2 and 1/2 cancel each other out, and we're just left with base times height. So that is actually pretty easy and fun. All right, so next we need to calculate the area of each side face. The length of each rectangle is the same as the height of the prism, so we're going to call this h, and I'll highlight that for you. Okay, the width of each rectangle is actually the same as each side of the triangular base. And when you see the figure, again, this is for the people who are word smart. When you see the figure, it'll help people who need kind of a visual representation. So instead of multiplying the length and width for each rectangle, we can combine this information, okay? We can multiply, and I'll highlight this as the important part, multiply the perimeter of the triangular base, since it's the sum of each width of a rectangular side by the height of the prism, h. If we put these pieces together, the area of the bases and the area of the side faces, we get this formula. Surface area equals base times height plus side 1 plus side 2 plus side 3 times h. Okay, so for those of you visual people, this will be a little bit easier. So to use this formula, we fill in the base and the height of the prism's triangular base, 3 and 4, okay? the length of the base's sides, and the height of the prism. We got 15, 5, and 5. Okay, so what's the surface area of this figure? All we have to do is put the measurements into the formula. We said that surface area equals base times height. Remember, 2 times 1/2 canceled out. So we're left with just base times height plus side 1 plus side 2 plus side 3 times h. So basically what that means is, first let's just start with the simple one. Base times height, 4 times 3. And then we're going to add side 1, side 2, and side 3. Okay, so that's, again, the 5, 5, and 4. And then 15, which is going to be all of these sides. Okay? So the surface area equals 12 plus 14 times 15. So the surface area equals 12 plus 210, and that will equal 222 centimeters squared. So we can use either of these methods to solve word problems involving surface area. And I'm going to highlight that because that's what we're focusing on now. Again, nets may be useful if the problem doesn't provide an image of the prism. If you choose to use a formula, be sure you know, this is critically important, whether the problem deals with a rectangular or a triangular prism. And then definitely want to write those both in those definitions, those formula in your math notebook. All right, here's a real world example. Crystal is wrapping the box below for her brother's birthday. How much wrapping paper will she need? Take a look. All right, so the first thing we want to do is identify, is this a rectangular or triangular prism? All faces are rectangles, so it's going to be, you got it, a rectangular prism. The picture shows us what its length, width, and height are, so we're going to use the formula this time for finding the surface area of rectangular prisms. Simply put the measurements in for the appropriate variables, and then we're going to solve. So we've got 9, 12, 6. So the surface area, this formula we're going to use again is 2 times width plus 2 times length times height plus 2 times height times width. All right, plug those numbers in. 2 times 12 times 9 plus 2 times 12 times 6 plus 2 times 6 times 9, which gives us 2 times 108 plus 2 times 72 plus 2 times 54. And that gives us 216 plus 144 plus 108. And so the surface area is going to be 468 square inches. All right, everyone, that just about wraps it up for this lesson. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.